I'm working for Traject. We are a traffic and mobility consultancy based in Belgium. We give mobility advice to companies, to local authorities on sustainable mobility, and with a big focus on cycling. We have at Traject local authorities or regional authorities, private companies, and also some project developers. So we're working for both 50% of our portfolio are private companies and 50% are public authorities. Main success factors if you want to work on sustainable mobility for companies, it's a combination of good infrastructure, good public transport or good bicycle infrastructure, but also a mobility culture within the company. We see that investing in cycling infrastructure on the external part of the company, it's only will achieve its full potential if within the company there is an open mind and there is a favor for sustainable mobility mode. So it's both infrastructure and culture. It's an important element. These are the both important elements. For public authorities, we believe that, or we just see that political will, really the perseverance for some politicians to go really make the shift towards sustainable mobility planning. It's the major driving for cities or regions to achieve good results in sustainable mobility. If I can just name one major factor, it's, would say, the fact if the CEO or one of the major directors is also in favor of public transport or cycling. So that's a major driving. If there is, first of all, awareness that not everyone uses the car or is in favor of the car, but there is a multimodal approach. That's really a strong element. So we have the example of one of the big corporate banks in Belgium, more than 10 years a client of us. And the main switch where we really get an acceleration in sustainable mobility was at the moment that there was a younger guy who became head of people in the bank. He had 3 kids. He brought the children with a cargo bike to school. And at a certain moment, a lot of requests from the employees were possible. There were investments in new bicycle infrastructure. There were investment in new bicycle parking. So this is sometimes a trigger. In every company, there is a switch which you should use as an opportunity to really bring forward some actions with regard to sustainable mobility. Of course, there is no open mind with regard to mobility in a company. It's much more difficult. But then it's a fact to try as a consultant or as a public authority to look for some problems where people are probably not aware of. In the past, companies wanted to work on mobility because they got a parking issue. Now you see, especially in Belgium, and I'm not sure if it's in Slovenia the same, but I think especially in Ljubljana, these things are changing as well, that especially younger employees entering the labor market, they want to go by bike. They invest in good bikes, so they want to have good bicycle parking. So to make them clear that working on mobility, it's not only a green measure or saving the planet, it's about taking your responsibilities as an employer with regard to younger employees. So positioning on the labor market, it means also reflecting on another way of transport towards the office. It's a combination of approaches. But in my experience, working with private companies, if there is a will within the company to act towards mobility, it's the fastest way to make changes. Because compared to public authorities, decision lines within companies are quite short. So if there is a switch, we feel there is an opening to work on sustainable mobility, things can go fast. So in my understanding, companies, especially the one located in city centers, in bigger city centers, are good first actors to work on mobility. And it's a combination of different stakeholders, but it's for me also a combination of working on infrastructure and culture. And in the past, and a lot of people still believe that there should be first some good infrastructure before you can start working on a culture, awareness raising and so on. I disagree. I think even if your infrastructure or public transport accessibility is not top level at the moment, it's still already a good way to start working on culture, because then you create like a spinning wheel where if people are in favor of sustainable mobility, they will be open and will find investments for this infrastructure. So that's something I would like to add to this, to your question as well. If you want to create a modal shift, it's about behavioral change. We want change management. We want to change people about the way they think about their transport. At the end, they shift from always the car to maybe sometimes also public transport or walking or cycling. So it's about behavioral change. And behavioral change, it's a long-term process. And it starts with small seeds, which you have to plant, and then things will change. Working with influencers or ambassadors, as we call it, that's really the way to achieve results. So we won't change the world from today up till tomorrow. It's really in small steps. And so we use let's say the commercial marketing techniques to a segmentation and tailor-made advice, also within mobility. If we work for a company, we look in the, say, 1,000 employees working in the company, we try to find this segment of people who probably is using the car on a daily basis, but have good access with public transport, but are not aware of it, can probably also bike to work, but maybe have no bike. So then we provide test bikes, test tickets for public transport. And if you can change a couple of people's minds by not always using the car, but maybe testing public transport or cycling, then you start a process within the company where the people who used to be full-time car drivers, they are a little bit convinced, their mental shift is starting, and they convince other people. So working with internal influencers, internal ambassadors, it's really a good way of achieving a modal shift. It takes time, but you have to start somewhere. We do it not only for companies, public authorities, but also for other target groups like festivals, events. The major rock festivals in Belgium. We also developed a mobility plan, sustainable mobility plan a couple of years ago. So starting from the same problem. I mean, people want to go to rock festival, they want to enjoy themselves, but if they are stuck in traffic when going to the festival, and especially when after the last concert going back, it means the whole experience is a little bit lowered, the degree of satisfaction a little bit influenced. So we always want to make people happy. If you go to a rock festival, you want to be happy. So also the trip to and back from the festival could be improved. And we did it in the same way, improving infrastructure, bicycle parking, but also informing people about the different ways to reach the festival. So for us, it's also like a mission, because not only young people, but especially young people like to attend rock festivals. If you get mobility management, reflection on sustainable transport mode in this kind of happy environment, people will probably also reflect on using other transport modes when commuting to their office on Monday. So yeah, it's fun to work for rock festivals as well. And modal shift, working on sustainable mobility, it's not an aim in itself, but if it facilitates people's lives, that's why we do it. There are some Flemish cities like Ghent, Bruges, who really get good reviews with regard to sustainable mobility on European level. First of all, there is no secret behind, and it's not something that has always been there. At the city where I live, Ghent, one of the leading cities on sustainable mobility. even less than 20 years ago, this was a car-oriented city. City was polluted. There was parking everywhere. Cars were stuck. They could cross the city center. And like they did in Ljubljana a couple of years ago, there was a political courage who decided, okay, let's stop having all the cars taking over our city. So it's having a good strategy, knowing why you want to. It's not about limiting the car as a name in itself. It's a mean by limiting car access to create a more livable city. And Flanders is close to the Netherlands, so we were happy to see the examples of the Netherlands. Probably now we copied and improved, like the Chinese, we improved the way the Netherlands work on sustainable mobility. And now we are like an example for the rest of Europe. But it's a process which took place a couple of years ago. And what's nice, we now have, and that's also quite recent. I mean, it's only from the last 5-6 years, but really now we dare to express a clear ambition. Like now with cycling, Flanders is the second cycling region in Europe. The Dutch are still up in front, but we now express that we want to close the gap in, 5 years, probably 10 years with the Netherlands. So political ambition, proven examples, and let people feel that, having another way of dealing with mobility in a city center, it improves everybody's life, makes people happy. That's, if you're talking about the secret, maybe that's a secret. Mobility is also sometimes related to generations. My parents, they were born in a time where people were able to afford a car. So all society was organized in the increase of car ownership. Nice small canals in the city centers were just filled with concrete to allow people to park. You see a clear switch. New generation people, 20, 25, 30 at the moment, they still believe they are right, that using a car is still an interesting means to go to the mountains, to go on holidays. But in their daily life, we see a clear switch. Where in the past, people were seen as you are a car driver, you are a public transport user, and you are a cyclist. Now, young people are multimodal. They bike to work, they walk to the city center, and probably in the weekends, they rent a car, or they use car sharing to move by to their place by using a car. But we see a clear shift. And in Belgium, we have a quite particular system of company cars. It's a fiscal regime where people are rewarded not only by salary, but by company cars. Like an amazing number of 13% of all employees in Belgium, they have a company car, which only a very small fraction is used really for the business. For the rest, it's just kind of a benefit. And we see a clear shift. In the past, maybe 10 years ago, even less, having a company car was also for young people important. If they looked for a job, it was really attractive if you have a company car. Now we see a shift, and we work for a lot of big corporates who say, look, we offer a corporate car, but young people, they don't want to work for us anymore. They ask bicycles, they ask flexibility, home working. And so you see the shift. So I really believe in the shift that the younger generation with regard to mobility is creating will have a very good influence on a lot of other aspects. So that's really very, very obvious, and gives a lot of power and hope that the sustainable shift will really even accelerate the next years. There are quite some lessons and suggestions to transfer from Flanders to Slovenia. First of all, I think we are both two smaller countries or regions in the case of Flanders, but I mean, I had the luck to be a couple of times in Slovenia. I think we have also a kind of culture being a small country. We are really modest people, but we like to change the world. We are into the world. We are into sustainability. So I believe that if I could give one suggestion, is first try out things. Okay, you have to plan a little bit. You have to analyze, to do some research, but really take action. Try to close a street for probably 2 weeks and look what's happening. So testing and daring to change things for the better. That's a really good suggestion. So be honest towards people, but replacing 2 parking spaces with a terrace at the pub for a couple of weeks, that people feel that this works, and that let them evaluate, let them see the new situation. So don't make too much studies, but just take action and let people feel the difference they experience.